Nobody buys unhappy. Nobody wants to do business with or work with Mr. or Mrs. Glum. Sadly, the world appears to have become less happy. My guest today, though, is on a mission to change that. Welcome to this BVTV Trilogy, coming to you from the UK studios of BizVision. I'm your host, Malcolm Gallagher. Now, let's just think about this, where I was saying my guest today says that leaders may think that they've got a people engagement problem causing them problems, but in fact, she says, it's really a happiness problem. She's the founder of Arrive at Happy and the author of a new book, which is out in just a couple of weeks' time. So we're really chuffed to be ahead of the game here. So the book is called Be a Happy Leader, Stop Feeling Overwhelmed, Thrive Personally, and Achieve Killer Business Results. And you know what I'm going to say? I'm more than happy to take you to meet Tia Graham. Hello, Tia.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Well, it's been so difficult to get you tied down. You're such a jet set person. You're in Hawaii one minute, you're skiing the next. I don't know,
Trying to stay active and happy during this crazy year.
I quite agree. I agree. Tia, they say that the fish stinks from the head downwards as regards poor leadership and its effects on a business. But I guess you're also saying that it's also correct that the happiness of a business comes from a happy leader. Is that true? And if so, what is true happiness? And how does it filter down from the top to all levels, especially given these strange, uncertain, hybrid working times that we live in?
So yes, absolutely. The happiness starts from the top and trickles down or doesn't. And true happiness is having contentment and purpose. And in my words, I say it's having a commitment to joy. Choosing joy. And a very key piece that a lot of people miss is that also accepting that life has peaks and valleys and understanding that you're going to have ups and downs throughout life.
Yeah. I was telling you before we started that we've had over here a really tough time during December with power outage for a couple of weeks and no heating, no internet, whatever it may be. It was truly miserable, And my wife and I actually had to laugh about it in the end, because if we didn't, you felt the other way down. So as you said, we chose to be, as you say, joyous. But why do people not do that?
So there's a lot of misconceptions. A lot of people believe that how they operate in the world is mostly genetic and their life circumstances, that life is happening to them. And they don't understand that so much of their happiness and their well-being is really based on their daily choices as well. And, our brains do have a negativity bias. So it is continuous work and effort to focus on joy and to focus on positivity and optimism and really creating that environment for yourself, for your family, and then for your organization.
Do you feel then today that we're being misled by media and so on there, because there's no good news around? It's all bad news. In point of fact, good news doesn't sell, does it?
Right. So yes, I'm actually very passionate about this topic. And with all of my clients and leadership groups that I work with, I instruct them to not watch the news on television, but to read the news, because watching it on TV, and especially in the United States, all the sensationalism, the research shows it makes us feel 30% more negative for the day. And already our brains have a negativity bias, so we don't need to add to that. And one last point I'll say is that there is a lot of positive news happening around the world. The mainstream media just doesn't show it. But for example, there is a news network called Positive News Network that's sharing all of that. So we need to be intentional about bringing in both the good news and the challenging news that's happening around the world daily.
Yeah, but you've got to police that yourself, haven't you?
Yes.
Otherwise, it can overtake you.
Yes, absolutely. And you have to, with our phones and the alerts 24/7, we have to set up boundaries and habits so that we're not always taking in the negative news.
Yeah. I really like your thinking. And the Happy Leader book is out January the 18th. I think we talked about there,
Yeah.
What is it it's going to give people?
It's going to give people three main things. So the first is inspiration and motivation to make happiness a big priority in their life and realize that you have to continuously choose it. It's also going to give people a tremendous amount of strategies and tools based on the science of happiness, which is positive psychology, and neuroscience. I really wanted leaders reading this to have a toolbox of these are proven things that you could do daily, weekly to increase your happiness for your family and for your teams. And then it's also going to give leaders my proven business strategy. So I led teams for 14 years in the hospitality industry, like we were talking about earlier. And I honed my leadership skills and my business skills. I led sales and marketing teams so that I was consistently beating the revenue goals for the hotels, having really happy teams that were connected and that didn't turn over. Everyone's talking about the Great Resignation, that didn't turn over. And I didn't have to work 80 hours a week. So that's really what the book gives. Is there's an 8-step methodology so that leaders can start with themselves and then create really happy, successful teams.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to talking to you about your AAH methodology later in a later episode in this trilogy. But thanks to you. Now, let me remind our audience of your URL, your website address, which obviously viewers can see on the screen behind me. But for listeners, let me spell it out. It's all the W's, arrive at happy.com, arrive at happy.com. I just love that. I can see this station sign saying happy. Arrive at happy.com. Now, Tia's book is called Be a Happy Leader. Stop feeling overwhelmed, thrive personally, and achieve killer business results. And it's hot off the press this month, January 2022, from Morgan James Publishing. In episode 2, I'm going to ask Tia about states of happiness. And episode 3, I'm going to ask her to reveal to you her Arrive at Happy AAH business growth process. It's a great one. For now, thanks for episode 1, Tia.
Thank you.